Okay guys, so I have a fresh account here from Topstep. Gotta pass this combine. What we're gonna do for this is we are first gonna take an opening range trade here on silver. Today is Sunday, March 29th at 4 p.m. This is Mountain Time. So the market just opened, or futures just opened. So we're just gonna wait for this 5-minute candle to close, and we'll see where that settles. Other than that, we can take a look at some other things here where we're settling, do a little bit of a top-down analysis. Gotta clean up my charts here. We have, of course, this big sell-off that's been coming down, all the way from $83 down to $61, so about a $20 drop. Down here, of course, we found some support. I have this trend line over here in the daily chart, which has been holding up pretty well. I kind of look out for that when prices come down here. I'm always looking for buys as they seem to be pushing this $70 level a lot. Let's check out the 4-hour. You can see kind of in a downtrend now. Lower highs, lower lows. But it seems like we want to go back up. We see this huge wick that happened on, what was that, on Friday, where the market closed. Let's look at the 1 hour. The 1 hour is looking a little bit more bullish. We see this a wave that happened over here, but the market did just gap down in this open. So let's see what happens. I see that the smaller time frames, 1 hour and lower, looking pretty bullish. Even this 4 hours looking a little bit better. We've broken out from this kind of 69. We'll see if we can hold that above. Yeah, let's just wait and see. Let's look back at our position here on silver. We're actually very close to getting stopped out. Check out the 1 minute. We've reached this key level here, and we have broken above that 20 EMA on the 1 minute, which it's still quite far, the 5 minute. But we will wait to see how this plays out. Saw it close above this imbalance, and now it's trying to close below it again. So we will keep an eye on this. I'll keep monitoring it, and we will see. You guys, a few more minutes have passed here. Looking at the silver, we have now began to go down again. Of course, we're still kind of in this upward trend over here. We saw this break of structure happen, and we are moving towards the upside, but that seems to be changing right here. Of course, we would like a close below this level, to kind of fully confirm that. If we got that, I of course would move my stop loss right about this level. Not a huge difference between that, but we are talking about a couple $100 to reach that. Of course, any money we are able to save is always a good thing. Of course, looking at gold here as well. Still trying to break towards the upside, it seems. Getting a lot closer. Which actually doesn't make me feel too great about this trade sitting on at the moment. But yeah, let's wait and see what happens. I will be back for maybe a couple more candles close. We can check out how the progress is going here. So far, so good. At least on the 5 minute, it looks fine. 15 minute, we have a long wick, that opening range. Yeah, wait it out and see if we can reach this bottom level that seems to actually be pretty well defended. You can see here, price keeps rejecting from it and trying to break up. So, my ideal world, we would crash down here, reach that level, and then once I'm out, price can do whatever. It doesn't really concern me. I might also wanted to look at some oil, see how that's been doing. Okay, so we got a gap up, 101, about $1 gap up, still holding. For anyone that's been paying attention to kind of like the oil moves, past couple weeks. Been able to see crazy movements happening with oil. I'm not too familiar trading oil. Don't really dwell on it. But I do like to pay attention to it, especially because at times like this, when it's at the forefront of many people's trading plans, it does seem to almost move inversely to gold and silver sometimes. So I do like to watch out for that. We've got about 2 minutes here for this candle to close. We'll keep watching, see what happens. Now, I just want to say that this isn't the main strategy I trade on an everyday basis. This is simply something that's been happening on silver for the past couple months. I would say since around December or November, if you've been paying attention. Price seems to break out of the 5-minute candle, the high or the low. And a lot of the times, of course, silver has been trending a lot last couple months. But you would just get almost, single direction moves, either up or down, for the most part up. And they mostly were happening on Sundays and Mondays. You can go check this. Today's March 29th. You can go check the past couple months. If you were trading that, you were able to catch some very large moves in the last couple months. And if you've ever traded silver, you know that this thing's been moving a lot as of late. Extreme amounts, so much so that you don't even need the mini contracts. You could use the micros. Topstep itself is fully restricted this. Even the micros, I believe there's a cap right now. I think you can use 2 during a combine, and once you move on to your funded account, you could just use 1. But yeah, pay attention to silver, what's been happening with it. I know the hype has died down a little bit, but it does have some massive intraday move that you could see. Last Friday, yeah, actually, very big move, I believe, at the end of the day. Very almost suspicious move that we got over here. We got this huge jump happening. People are saying it's because of some of the contracts expiring at the end of the month. To be honest, I like reading all that stuff, but I don't take it to heart. I realize at the end of the day, we're small fish in an ocean of big sharks. So all we can do is create our strategies, stick to our probabilities, and hope that things work out for us. At the end of the day, or not hope. That's not the right word. Ideally, once you're entering the market, you're entering with a plan. You know what your probabilities, or roughly what your probabilities and statistics should be, and that is what you should be trading, which is what I will be trading for my account from here on out. Of course, today is Sunday. Like I said, that's why I'm taking this trade. Sometimes I take in Monday too. Pay attention to the price, see which direction we're heading, whatever it may be, however the day ended. But the main strategy I trade is actually on MNQ. I trade the smaller contracts, and I trade the 9:30 Eastern opening range. Of course, I do have my own set of rules I have made around this strategy to give me a little bit more of an edge, such as days I can size up, certain conditions are met, that help me build this out. Actually been playing around a lot with cloud as of late, even though it's earned with all the coins it's been taken, all the tokens, sorry, so you get limited all the time depending on what you're doing. But yeah, this is kind of a brief overview of what my strategy does at 7:30. Of course, I have a regimen filter. 7:30 to 7:45. I am in Mountain Standard Time. A little bit different. Here is the back test I did on this strategy. 1,720 trades with a win rate of 55.1%, profit factor of 1.26. During the back test, this was the profit that this generated. I don't have drawdown right here. Yeah, just a bit of statistics, you know, since 2019, what the win rates have been per year. We can see 2026, very good strategy thus far. We have my trade gradings, of course, here. Depending on how I take the trades, what an A+ setup looks like, how long it should show up. As someone who's always been into the market but hasn't been very strong with coding or anything like that, or not strong at all, to be honest, I feel like my brain's not made for it. You know, all these AI bots has been great tools to learn how to operate, you know, learn how to run different backtests on this data, rather than just looking at very simple numbers such as the win rate, the profit factor, you know, the total profit. We ran much more robust tests on these. Here we have the maximum adverse excursion, kind of a test I was running to see if I should close off trades a lot quicker. You know, we were doing a recency verification on this. Overall, you know, the data found that out here found that it wasn't really worth cutting the trade short, since oftentimes my trades will go into drawdown, and then once they recover, that recovery more than makes up for those drawdowns. Looking at seasonality edges, so Friday and Tuesday are very good. Week 5 of the month, not very good. Most months are all right, with months such as July and November not doing too hot. Which I also got it to make me a little plan for the Topstep Combine here, which, you know, I will be using here, adapting it to myself. It's not 100% perfect. I wanted to show you here. Oh, these are some of the tests I ran on the strategy itself. We have, and some benchmarks I kind of set up for the system with profit factor, win rate, or proxy ratio, the average P&L per trade, of course, the monthly win rate, you know, how many months out of the year are usually winning. We're 7 out of 8 profitable years, OS and IS ratio, Monte Carlo simulations to make sure, you know, once all these trades were randomized, that it was still profitable and it wasn't simply just a lucky streak that happened. Make sure that this was an actual edge that I had here. Now, the time exit we have here, as you can see, it's 31.6%. Basically, my strategy consists of entering on the ORB close, given my criteria is met. And then from there, I have a trailing stop loss that activates once profit goes into a 1R. And it moves up to 0.5. So as you can see, sometimes or 31% of the times, I guess, my trade won't actually exit. It would be stuck between my trailing stop loss and my actual take profit, which it's fine. I'm still in the profit part of the strategy. That's just how it works. Yeah, this is the strategy I will be deploying. Yeah, I can go more in depth into that if you guys want me to look more into that. Yeah. Okay, guys, so coming back here to the trade, for a couple minutes have passed here. We can see price is trying to break down a little bit lower. Let's go more in depth here on the 1 minute chart. We can see that this 68.53 level, kind of what we're hoping to break below for us to switch up our stop loss. Now, of course, if we were to break it down during this wave, I would more than likely be looking to place it all the way down here, you know, taking out a bit of that risk that we had, having it all the way up here at 1800, as that would more than likely blow up an account. And we can see oil going up, silver going down. Like I said, it's they're not exactly one-to-one. You know, one moves one way and the other one's going to move the other way. But I have been paying attention. Like I said, there's a lot of attention on oil right now, justifiably so. So yeah, let's wait a little bit longer and we'll see what happens here. Okay, guys, so a couple more minutes have passed here since last hit record. I believe we were around down here. Last time I pressed record, We're over here. So it's kind of been staying in this small range right here. We have broken down below that 20 EMA, which is looking good. Oil seems to be struggling to go back up, which is a little bit concerning. Like I said, the relationship isn't one-to-one, of course, here. You know, if I wanted silver to go down, it would be nice to see oil heading up. But we can only take what we can get. Let's check out everything else is doing. Actually, take a look at NASDAQ. Had a big gap down. I think tomorrow we might get another one of those days. That is, just a full-on red day, unless some good news happens overnight or tomorrow during the market. But it seems like everything is looking towards going down. I've been hearing all this stuff about supposedly hikes in rates, which of course wouldn't be too bullish for the market, but it's probably good for the overall economy. Hopefully they can get things in check, and we can keep doing what we do. But as you can see, we are getting closer to that entry. Of course, it has taken quite a while since I entered. That is, let's see, about 42 minutes since I entered. So I've just been, looking at other assets, waiting for this to kind of play out. Like I said, this is, at the end of the day, a strategy I've been taking for a while, a play I've been taking for a while. So I know for a fact, this isn't 100%. And if anyone tells you otherwise, that they have an 100% trade, unless they have some insider info, that's basically impossible. So we're just waiting for this to go down so we can start moving this stop loss down a little bit. Hopefully we can break down below this and go all the way down to our stop loss at 77.73. Or I guess we'll break up to the upside, get stopped out, and have to wait for our next trade, which would be tomorrow morning at New York Open. But yeah, that's just a little update. Let's see what happens. Hey guys, a bit of an update here on what's been going on. We have kind of broken out of this range towards the upside, which isn't really ideal to what we want to see here. Now, we are spending a lot of time on this trade. I'm usually not a big fan waiting for a very long time here. So we're going to start slowly moving our stop loss down wherever we see fit. I'm actually looking at, this doesn't seem like a bad place to set it on. Of course, we could still come down here and then break downwards in a stop loss. But I think we're going to settle right here. Ideally, we would be getting it a little bit lower. Would be nice to be under 1,000. Could guarantee us another clean shot at earning that 1,500 for the combine. But we're going to leave it here for now. Anyway, I don't know if it's just me that does this. I'm assuming it's not. But even though I enter, on the 5-minute or the 1-minute, whatever it may be, or the 15-minute, I usually like to go up a time frame while my trade is playing out. As sometimes when you're on that 1-minute trade, I'm sure you guys have all been there, watching the candles move crazy is just not good. I'm better off just leaving it on the 5-minute here, or even the 15-minute, and just watching it, as those small moves in the 1-minute look absolutely massive, when in reality they might not be huge moves. And your idea for entering the trade or whatever it may be could still very well be alive. So we're gonna leave it here for now, and I'll be back in a little bit, see if that stop loss gets hit, or of course if we can march our way down into my take. All right. Okay guys, so we have some stuff happening here. I just left to go switch a batch of laundry here, but we are actually sitting in the profit right now as the move is going our way. I am just going to lower this stop loss. We did have a pretty strong move and some good volume coming down into this move. Of course, we still want to see this clean close below this level. Ideally in the 5-minute, we'll have about 2.5 minutes. Not ideal that it's dropped down already, unless it keeps dropping, I guess. But halfway through the candle, You know, oftentimes you see reversals, so we'll have to wait and see, but we can lock in some of this stop loss, bring that down. You got to start thinking of stop losses as, you know, you're getting money back basically. You know, you paid whatever upfront it was for your trade to go in, and as you're moving this stop loss down, you're regaining some of that cost, is the way I like to look at it. Like, it helps me do it more often rather than just sitting on it, and it makes it a lot easier when, of course, you're moving your stop loss and maybe you get wicked out and then it keeps going down your way. This is what I'm gonna do. $830 is what we're risking here at the moment in 2 lots of silver. Wait and see what happens. I will be back once we get another move here, whether that's up or down. And we can see oil is also, sorry, this is not oil, M&Q. Go back to oil. I want to see if that's handling it. So they're kind of moving together, surprisingly enough. Really, that was the bottom top, bottom. Okay. Yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. And then, of course, once this starts breaking down, we are now in the 1 minute. And what we're hoping for is kind of a stairway down here, you know, to start coming down, and we can start moving our stop lower and lower as we keep going down that stairway. In an ideal scenario, of course, this could just flip right here and we could just get stopped out. Again, that's just part of the game. You know, these the trades that I usually take are very limited, you know, about 1 or 2 trades a day, depending on the day of the week, you know, week of the month of the year, that type of thing. So now all that remains is just to wait this out. Of course, if we manage to come all the way down here and secure that 1550, that means we would be halfway through our combine, and that would mean we can start deploying our full strategy. Basically is a lot more conservative, and even though there is chance of blowing up, because if the strategy was arranged for it to never blow up, it would basically just take way too long to reach a payout. But we have to adjust for that. By the way I found that works best for me, it's by finding out, you know, almost like mini edges within the edge that are able to help me when I want to size up or size down, based on, like I said, seasonality or streaks in the current strategy, how many wins, how many losses have happened so far, you know, days of the week, like I said, weeks of the month, months of the year, so on and so on. But yeah, that's when we'll really be able to deploy the strategy. I'm starting this YouTube series, I guess, in a way to keep myself accountable, to do this every day, you know, to wake up, to be able to look back and see what my thought process was during these trades and what made me do what I did essentially. Now, right now I'm at home and I'm able to record this on the computer with my my webcam, my browser, all this stuff right here. Of course, that's not usually how it's gonna go. Oftentimes I might have to, you know, take a trade on my phone, whatever it may be. I will also try to record those or grab some screenshots and upload those, again, to just see how the journey works and ultimately see how this strategy fully performs, being extremely strict with its parameters, and seeing if it's possible, if we're able to, of course, pass the account first. We're not passing it ideally like solely with the strategy. We're using other things here, such as this silver opening range. But for the most part, it's going to be taken the New York time and the New York Open on the 15-minute chart. And yeah, we'll see how it works out. In an ideal scenario, you know, the account will pass and then we can start building up from there, you know, get a payout, put it back in, buy some more accounts, rinse and repeat until we're ultimately at 5. And, you know, we can keep growing those accounts. And I also have my own scaling plan that I would kind of like to implement as the of course the balance of the accounts goes in our favor and it goes in our way. So yeah, we will see how that goes. We can try to retest this 20 EMA right now. Oh, breaking past it. 20 seconds left. 1/3 of the candle already there. See if we get a bit of a whip back in the last second here, which would be ideal. What we want to see. Of course, we're touching this kind of support turn resistance here. But we would like to see a rejection from there. Let's see. It closes, and let's see how the next one opens, I guess. It opens slightly above. Okay. I am going to go shoot some laundry, and I will be back when something happens. Okay, guys, so a couple more minutes have passed here. Of course, the trade was going up against us. Almost came to reclaim that EMA 20 here, but the trade has flipped towards our side now. Let's look at the breakdown here on the 1 minute. It's essentially just this one candle reaching down. Where it closes here, it's going to be very telling of where the next direction it's going to be. Of course, we want to be as close as possible, ideally closing below this level, even though that clearly did not happen. We just got that massive wick right here. Or hold up. So $0.1 that wick. But yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see if it shoots right up here. Yeah, a big move. We got some volume behind that bearish candle too. Let's just wait and see. Just wanted to hit record again since something was happening actively on my chart. But yeah, let's wait a couple more minutes and see where the trade is sitting at. Okay, guys, and we are back here on the trade only a couple minutes after. Had some big breaks in between these recordings, but seems like we're finally getting a substantial move to the downside here. A lot of volume coming in, and we're seeing oil start pumping up. Kind of what I was saying, that oil and silver have kind of been moving inversely. Same thing with gold. Yeah, also paying attention to the DXY, of course, the dollar index. I believe it is still above $100. Like I said, that's not really relevant to us at the moment. We're only taking this very short trade. What I am going to do here is I am going to secure my stop loss, bring it down a little bit more now that we have this big wave. We're almost at $1,000 in floating profit. We will wait for this to settle down, and our risk, of course, is at 600 now. Here we're saying that, you know, oil is going all the way up to 200. Now I don't know how likely that is to actually happen, or you know what the implications would be for that. All I know is I'm paying a lot of money to fill up my gas tank right now, and I don't appreciate it a lot, but that is life. Can't really do much about it. Let's hope that this trade works out. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep watching it here, keep monitoring it. Of course, if we make a a lower high up here and then kept on marching down, we would move our stop loss down, of course. Now I don't really trade on the 30-second chart, but there has been times when I do look at it. As we can see, this kind of stairway I was talking about is happening here at the moment, and look at that. It looks like we're actually very, very close hitting our take profit. Let's just keep watching for now. And there it is. There it is, guys. So first trade successful on silver. Of course, this is Sunday that we have taken this trade. Entered roughly on the 5-minute break of the range right over here. Of course, this is the 5-minute range. I'm gonna outline it so you guys can visualize better what I'm talking about here. So that is the range that we were looking at to break out of. Of course, we broke out of this and took the trade over here. We could have been a little more patient, waited for that retest of that zone, and then entered, and probably would have exited much sooner than we had to over here. But regardless, the trade worked out. Like I was explaining earlier, I've seen oftentimes these trades break out of the range and then continue breaking down, and anyone left waiting for that retest just never happens. So that's why I like to enter on that. Of course, if I had a bigger buffer in this account, the drawdown here is $2,000, the maximum, you can do here. If I had a bigger drawdown, I might have entered over here, waited for it to retrace back, and if it looked good to me, if it looked very solid, I might have added on to the position, but of course in that same direction. Anyway, guys, I will continue to record these trades, whether it's on my phone or here on my computer. And yeah, if you want to follow with the journey, hit that subscribe button and, like the video if you enjoyed it, and leave me any comments if you have any questions about the strategy. And yeah, if you want to comment your strategy, if you've been using any opening ranges or any strategies that have been working very solidly in the afternoon. Usually when futures open on Sunday specifically, I think it's very interesting trading, just because the stock market hasn't opened. I know a lot of my friends that trade stocks or options or whatever it may be, they're not paying as much attention on a Sunday. Of course, they're waiting for that Monday morning. Now with, after hours and a lot of brokers offering after hours trading, a lot of them are starting to pay a lot more attention to it. But like I said, I'm very interested in Sundays and the breakouts. Silver I've been familiar with for a long time, and it's cool to see how it's risen over these past couple months, and it'll be interesting to see where it's heading, especially once either this war is settled or we get some boots on the ground, some flip from panic and fear into certainty, and okay, now we gotta develop a plan to where the market's gonna go, as it's historically it's never just tended to go straight down and keep going straight down. You might get some sharp sell-offs, and at some point they will be returned with some high buying. So let's wait and see what happens. All right, thank you guys.